All right, let's do this. Diamond Envy podcast. I'm your host, Tyler McComas. Diamond Envy, as always, brought to you by Cavens Group. Check them out, cavensgroup.com. All right, so a little bit of a different episode today. I'm not going to ramble on for 6 or 7 minutes at the front of the episode here about what I think is the biggest story going on with this team right now. Let's just get right to it. Friend, colleague, Chris Plank, play-by-play voice, joins us, and you and I are taping. It's Tuesday at noon. As soon as you get done here, you're probably going to head to Wichita. It's been
Correct.
2 days. 2 days since that Sunday loss, and it still feels weird, man. I guess, do you feel now we've had a couple days to digest it? Do you feel any differently right now than what you did on Sunday afternoon? Has any of your thoughts from that series changed?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't think so. I firmly believe in this team. I think they're the best team in college softball. I think they have the potential to be one of the best teams. I mean, in the history of the game with the talent that they have. You know, Tiare Jennings and Jada Coleman, I think, are both national players of the year. I've got to dig a little deeper. I don't know if you would consider them necessarily among the front runners, but Ella Parker and Cassidy Pickering are at the very least in the conversation for, Big 12 freshman of the year, if not, the national conversation. They're not making errors. I think they're pitching it better than maybe some people realize. And I don't think pitching was the problem this week. And it's just the hitting having the struggles that it did in big moments on Saturday and Sunday, even back to Friday. I think a lot about Friday's game, Tyler. When you look at that fifth inning, Jada Coleman hits the 3-run home run. They chase Mac Morgan, and they've got runners at first and third with one out, and you can't get even a sixth run home, and suddenly Estelle Check, what's wild about this whole weekend is the domination that Oklahoma had against every pitcher they faced. Now, the freshman Kavon, they'd never seen before, but I thought they hit her as hard as they hit anyone. Again, Texas was making every single play this week, and that's not a hyperbole. That's not making up a story that wasn't there. I mean, Texas made every play, and that's not something they've done consistently this year. So if that sticks, look out. It's a really good team. But it's frustrating because even in Lally Gutierrez, Mac Morgan, Estelle Check, Oklahoma had hit them hard and scored a lot of runs in the times that they see they hit against them last year, even the year before. But that's diamond sports, man. It's a different world. There's things that can create challenges that we'll never know about. There's things that can create challenges as far as adjustments that are hard to adjust to. There might be things that you went into it thinking would be part of the game plan from the other team that weren't, and maybe they approach you a little bit differently. So, to the original question, are there things that I'm feeling different about today? No, I still think that, that's more of the anomaly than what they are. And now they got to go out and prove it over the next, let's see, Wichita State tonight, 3-game set with BYU, who's not very good, 3-game set with Houston, who's not very good, Tulsa, who's playing better. So you've got, 7 games to go, 8 games there to go before you really reach what I think is going to be as challenging of a stretch as you'll have in going to UCF, going to Orlando. They're going to be juiced. They're playing better. And then to welcome in now the second place team in Oklahoma State. I will say, I think there's adjustments that need to be made, but I think it's just more in the preparation and the approach than anything with the lineup or players out there playing. So it's crunch time, and let's see this team get right like we know they can over 7 games and 16 or 3 teams that they should be.
No, I mean, not to throw any excuses, but like you mentioned how well Texas played this past weekend. And, I think there was a thought out there that, well, Texas is a good offensive team. Maybe they're not coming in, playing their best softball right now.
Right.
Texas would have beat any team in the country 2 out of 3 games this weekend.
Yeah.
So they played, that's as well as we've seen Texas play, I think, all year long. But, the question was asked yesterday on the radio show is, okay, well, is there anything that happened that makes you feel like this team can't win a national championship? They're not good enough to do it. I'm curious what your response is. I guess my response is, okay, well, it was the hitting this weekend. Well, I too much evidence, man, that Tiare Jennings is clutch. She's going to come through. She's going to be best ball at the right time. Same thing for Kinsey and Riley Boone. And like, there's just so much evidence that I have over multiple years with what was maybe broken the most this weekend. I guess I just don't change my opinion. Even after that first series loss in over a decade, yeah, this team can still win a national championship, and maybe they are the best team if they get right.
I've come to realize that a lot of the appeal for casual fans who probably aren't listening to this podcast right now, maybe they jumped in, Tyler, because they want to hear what you got to say about why we lost. And if you did, this is going to be a shocking realization. A lot of the draw at OU softball is because they just don't get beat, and they win for a lot of people.
Yep.
But they're human. They're humans. And what happened this weekend is kind of what traditionally happens in this sport is you lose a series, you lose a game. 70-game winning streaks are not the norm. And every year that Oklahoma has won a title since even the 16 season, I think, had a 40-game winning streak at one point. But outside of like 17, you look at 21, 22, 20. I mean, there's massive winning streaks during the season that are attached to that. That ain't normal. That's what you're seeing this weekend is more normal. And just like in football, just like in a baseball, every sport, you're getting the opponent's best shot. So I think they can still win a title, but this is more what this sport is like. And people don't want to hear that. I understand it because they've been unbeatable over the last, 6-7 years. But Texas is really good. LSU, Florida, really good teams. Duke, I still think Duke is the best team I've seen this year outside of Oklahoma. And that's with OU losing 2 of 3 to Texas. Duke was jaw-droppingly on point, and it was their first or second game of the season. And I've watched them a lot just get better. So teams are investing more resources. The portal, not everyone is able to go to where they want. I feel like in softball, more players are sticking around too, and they're able to build things. Listen, Texas State's really good. I think Texas State's a team that, we might start buckling up if they beat like Texas on Wednesday. That could be a team that's coming here for a regional, or not a regional, could be coming here for a super regional. They might be a top 16 seed. That's wild, right? So I feel like there's more parity in this sport around Oklahoma. Everyone's gunning for Oklahoma. Do I think that this is kind of a little dent in the Sooners' Superman mantra? Of course it is. But it doesn't mean they're suddenly not as good as they were early in the season, right? This is still a really good team. And I think, if anything, they've shown you that pitching can be what it needs to be in big games. I think you said it best, Tyler. Any team goes in there this week and Texas might sweep the series. But Oklahoma got off to a good start on Friday and built themselves a cushion. And Kelly Maxwell was amazing enough that they withstood a really good bottom of the 7th inning run. Man, Texas is good. That's a good team. If they keep it together, look out. But I still think Oklahoma's going to win the conference. I still think they're going to be the number 1 overall seed. And I think they're gonna click. I think it's going to be okay. This was a humbling experience. And this, to me, appears to be a team, in my opinion, that isn't, we mission accomplished. We won 3 titles. What more do we have to do? We have the longest winning streak in the history of the game. I'm a 3-time all. I don't think this team thinks like this. And if they did, this past weekend is a big awakening because while you might have your 3 titles, you also now have that kind of check mark to where you did something that's never been done in the history of OU softball. You lost a 3-game series. And in Big 12 play, that had never happened. So I think that there's enough motivation there to where I hope that's the anomaly. It might not be the anomaly for Texas, Tyler. Maybe they put it together. Maybe they click. I think they're really good. But I feel like that was the anomaly, that Oklahoma, as challenged as they appeared to be in getting that clutch hit this weekend, they still only lost 2-1 and 2-1. And it took a hit by pitch to get a runner on base to make it 2-1.
Well, and that was kind of where I was going to go next, is you're talking about the crazy expectations of this program. It doesn't take them losing a game for some people to say, what's wrong? They can win a game 2-0 against a top 25 team, a really good team out there. And whether they're joking about it or not, it's, they didn't run roll that team in 5 innings. What's going on here? So with that, I know it's hard even 2 days after the fact to look at a series lost the first time in over a decade. How dare he find any sort of positive that happened this past weekend in Austin? But if I will attempt to do so, I'll look at the pitching here. Like
Yeah.
they lost 2 out of 3, and I still don't know why people were coming after Nicole May this weekend. That still baffles me. I don't really understand that. But if I'm going to come away with the positive this weekend, I thought the pitching, man, I can say good team that we just said had its best weekend of the year. I mean, OU really, for the most part, fared very, very well in the circle, I thought.
Well, I mean, I don't know how anyone could be angry with the way things went for Nicole May. She was really good. Texas came into this game with the number 2 offense in college softball, batting average wise. And I mean, did Oklahoma out hit them? I know you can go back to a base running mistake in the what was that, the 6th inning on Saturday night that would have made it 4-1 instead of 2-1. That's fine. You know, if you want to nitpick like that, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I came away feeling really good about the pitching, specifically Kelly Maxwell. You know, she exercised some demons there on Friday night. You know, last year she was in a similar situation. They went 8 innings. Oklahoma State was playing Texas. First person I talked to after the game was Kelly's dad, and we were talking about Friday night. And he goes, "Man, I was having flashbacks because Kelly had taken I think it was even a no-hitter into the 8th inning in a scoreless game, and Reese Atwood hit a walk-off home run." And so there was like, oh, let's not get to that point on Friday night. But the OU defense stood up. But I thought it was good. I thought Kirsten Deal was really good. You know, Oklahoma had a plan on Saturday night that I'm sure has been debated. They thought that they might have something in Peyton Monticelli that could throw off Texas. Peyton Monticelli throws really, really hard. And as I've learned over the years, you know, when you're facing someone that throws hard under the lights, it takes you a while to get used to it. Unfortunately, when Peyton Monticelli came in, she couldn't find the strike zone, and that hurt him. But if the disappointment is with Nicole May or anyone, I would completely and totally disagree. I thought Maxwell was fantastic. She made one mistake all weekend long. I thought Nicole May was really good. I thought Keeney coming in, she gave up the line drive off the wall, but she came into a situation where you're like, all right, we need you, kid. You know, you got to get this done. And she got him out of the inning. And I thought Kirsten Deal was really good when they used her this weekend, and she's got to be a part of this going forward. So, you know, it's you never want to try to say where the positives in a series loss to Texas, but I came away feeling really good. I know that sometimes I'll hear people say, well, the pitching staff will narrow and there's no one like Jordy Ball to take over and drive this team. Y'all realize that Kelly Maxwell has done that before. She did that with Oklahoma State in 2022, you know, and Jordy Ball, she did it last year, but OU won a title when Jordy Ball got hurt the series before the World Series and rode May and Hope Troutwine to a title, specifically Hope, who was amazing. So I'm not in that group to where I need to see someone go out and dominate now, but I thought it was incredibly reassuring to see what the pitching staff did this weekend.
OU could have swept Texas and Austin this weekend, and there would still be an incredible amount of people tuning in, watching this game tonight against Wichita State. That's just what this fan base is. That's what this program is. Anytime you got a chance to watch greatness, and I say this too, like, why would you not watch every OU softball game you can? Because something always exciting happens.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Brito hits it over the scoreboard, or Riley Boone makes a great defensive play. There's just always something exciting that happens. But I think, at least for me tonight, and I think there's probably a lot of people in this category, you were going to watch and listen to this game regardless. But I'm fascinated by tonight's game. How could you not be? Is Wichita State one of the best teams in the non-conference that they're going to play this year? Probably not. But I think we're all anxious to see not just how they respond, but maybe you can feel the energy a little bit from the broadcast. You know, I just fascinated to see how this team responds from their biggest setback in a while. I there will be no horn in the background. It'd be nice to listen to a game without an annoying horn the entire time. But yeah, man, like tonight it's
pretty big.
I don't want to say it's the biggest moment of the year, but it's an interesting moment for this team for sure.
You want to go out and make a statement, right?
Sure.
You don't want to lose. Wichita State's capable. This isn't the Wichita State of the last couple of years. You know, they're going to be scratching and clawing to get to the postseason, but they know they win tonight over Oklahoma. they've probably punched a postseason bid, right? That's how much weight a win like this carries. So you're going to get their best shot. Wichita State's not as good as they've been in years past, but that doesn't matter. They just need to play good for, 7 innings and they've got a shot. For me, I want to see frustration. I want to see just out there hitting missiles. I want to see strikes. I want to see the defensive mindset be what it's been. That's the crazy thing, Tyler. Texas stood on its head defensively this week. And I'm not picking on Texas by any stretch of the imagination. I like them. But Texas stood on its head defensively. But that's a normal outing for Oklahoma defensively, right? I mean, they've been so good defensively this year. If they would have had a defensive meltdown this weekend or something like that took place, then maybe we're having a different conversation right now, but they didn't. So I fully expect them to go out. Wichita State plays is tough. We've ruled them there a couple of times, but there's been some good games. Wichita State, it seems like they play Oklahoma better in Norman than they usually play at Wichita, but there's a lot of Sooner fans that are excited about it. The Wichita State faithful show out. They get students out there. They get rowdy. I just think, Coach Gasso told me before the game on Sunday that the message to the team was bow up, and they didn't do it for 7 innings. They did it for like 3.5, right? But they left too much meat on the bone offensively, and they, you make one mistake in the circle, and your offense isn't providing anything. That's what can happen. So, and it's unfair. Listen, I'm not saying anything bad about OU's offense. Texas pitched it very well this weekend. You're just not used to seeing pitchers whom you have rocked have that kind of success. So I'm fascinated for tonight, Tyler. I think it's going to be one of the more fun games and atmospheres that we've been a part of. I can't wait. We're heading up. I'm literally, as soon as you and I log off, I'm getting in the car to Wichita. The team has already left, but I'm just excited to, as you said, see the mannerisms, see the approach, see the mindset. Is it different? Is it panic? Is it anger? Is it daubers down? I don't think that's going to be the case. So this is a big night, and I think fans want to see them react in a big way too. But then again, when they win, Wichita State's terrible. The problem is it's like the Oklahoma football non-conference schedule, right? You get all excited if they're like 4-0, and it's like, well, we haven't played Texas yet. I don't care till we play Texas. Now, after losing to Texas, Oklahoma's got 8 games, and maybe even I think Central Florida's really good. I think UCF's really good. You got 11 games against teams that people won't care about until you beat Oklahoma State.
Last one, and I'll let you head north here. Earlier in the year, I think this team went up to Patty and said, hey, we need to maybe turn it up a little bit in practice. I actually heard live the pregame interview that you're talking about on Sunday where she told this team to bow up, okay? Maybe you haven't been in the locker room this week or anything, but how do you think from Sunday afternoon to now, even though it's been a quick turnaround for this team, coming back from a road trip, going to a road trip, how do you think Patty's handled this situation with this team? What do you think she said?
Well, I think Coach Gasso is the best leader and coach that I've ever been around in my life. And I think on top of that, she's an even better person. And I think that, to me, she takes everything about this program seriously. I mean, there's not we lost the series. No. Listen, it might have been we lost a Saturday game. That happens. Get focused. But you lose that Sunday game and you weren't focused at the plate like you need to be, well, then that's whenever, all right, where did it go? What did you see here? She's always evaluating. She's a softball savant. So and she's got great assistants in Coach Rocha and Coach JT. So to me, when you ask, hey, how do you think she's handled this? It's wild again, because there's been so many losses that have happened in the history for Coach Gasso that she just, it's like, hey, we lost a series here, we lost a game here, we're going to be fine. But now in today's social media and everyone paying attention to softball, the people are freaking out a lot more than Patty Gasso is, right? And I'm sure there's probably some frustration with the way that they weren't able to get it done. I'm sure there's probably some disappointment with some of the at-bats. But I know she's going to work tirelessly to fix it. Now, here's what I don't know. They traveled back on Sunday. Tyler, I don't know if they got to practice yesterday. I mean, I think that, when would their day off be? You're playing Tuesday, then you got Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I guess you would get that day off on the Sunday, but I don't know how much work they were able to do on Monday. So and then I don't know how much work they're going to be able to do on Wednesday. This is where you kind of hope this veteran team is like, okay, all right, we see what we did. We know what we have to do different, and they kind of figure it out. But Brent Venables talks about player-led teams. Those are always the best teams. It's the same in Diamond Sports, and they've got great player leaders. They just happen to have the greatest coach in the history of ever helping to lead them. So I'm sure she's frustrated. I would imagine she's disappointed, but I think there also has to be this realization that you need to be playing your best softball mid-May. You get to that point, you learn from those mistakes, and I hope that you and I are doing Diamond Envy in a couple weeks from now, or if it's next week, and it's like, holy smokes, man, this team took those lessons learned from Texas, and they're back to being what we thought. They don't have to be there tonight. They don't necessarily have to be there this weekend or even the following weekend. But when you get past BYU, you get past Houston, then you start thinking, all right, we've got to be in the championship mindset towards the postseason. And I feel like you'll see that with this team. It wouldn't surprise me at all to see her shake up the lineup. She shook up the lineup consistently. I think Avery Hodge could be given more of a shot at second. I don't know how healthy Riley Ludlam is, and she kind of started to struggle a bit, but she's not 100%. Her hand's dinged up, so it wouldn't surprise me to maybe see her at first a little bit. Sid's been struggling some. But I have no doubt that her focus is on trying to get this team where it needs to be come about May 15th. And if they're there, look out. It's going to be 4 in a row because I still don't think on a neutral field that anyone's going to beat them twice. Yeah. And by the way, Hall of Fame Stadium, not necessarily neutral field.
Well, yeah, and there's a lot of players who have just what you're saying, elevated their game in the month of May. A lot of these players have done that more than once in their career. Hey, you're the best man. Drive safe. We'll be listening tonight. OU Wichita State, 6 p.m. first pitch, correct?
That's right, 5:45 pregame, and then don't forget, adjust the calendars. BYU's in town, so it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday this week, and I think it's 6, and 1. So we'll see you out at the ballpark, man. Thanks, Tyler.
He's Chris Plank. I'm Tyler McComas. We'll talk to you later this week on the Diamond Envy podcast.